What's up, everybody? This is Rich from True Budget EDC and Prepping. Use your gear or lose your gear, because if you're not using it, you might as well lose it. So, just want to come on here and do a quick go over review, my thoughts basically of what I think of a knife that was sent to me by a friend. It is this crispy donut community, CDC Hanson. Now, this knife was sent to me by a friend of mine who did not have a very high opinion of it. And you know what? That's fine. Everybody has their own opinion, right? So when I do this video, this is going to be in my opinion. Somebody else might have a different opinion, and that's cool. That's how it is. Everybody's entitled to that. So with that being said, this might be a little bit of a longer video because I have some comparisons to make with this particular knife. And yeah, so let's get into it. So initial thoughts, right? When I just got this, last Saturday I got this. I've been carrying it a week, using it for everything, right? And when I first got it, I was out. I came home and it was, in a package. So I opened up the package, I took it out, and first impression was that it was cheap. All right. I mean, seriously, that's just literally what I thought, only because of the fact that this G10 feels kind of plasticky, right? It just, for a $60 knife, you think that the G10 would be a little bit better, to be honest with you. And to be honest with you, D2, G10, China knife, there's 1,000 of these out there, $60 in my opinion. It's a bit steep for what this is, okay? So I watched some of the reviews, or I didn't watch them actually. I looked at some of the reviews that people had posted, and a few people said the same thing, that it was very plasticky feeling and just not up to par with what Chinese knives are nowadays. Like, I was talking to another friend of mine, and even the worst China knives are pretty decent now compared to what they were 30, 40 years ago. So even if you get a knife and you're not really happy with the performance of it, it's still honestly not that bad, right? Because of the way they are. So when you're coming into the market with a China knife at $60, you got to come correct, because there's other companies making $30 China knives that are honestly better than this, to be honestly, in my opinion. So let's go over why I have formed the opinion that I have, other than the plasticky G10. So there's nothing really wrong with the locking mechanism other than the fact that it has a late detent. So there it is right there. But you know what? Whatever. A lot of knives have a late detent. I'm not sure if you can hear this, but it grinds. There's a grind going on in there, okay? I just think the tolerances are way off, and I took it apart, and I cleaned it with alcohol wipes, and I oiled it, and I put it back together, and it was still doing it. So I took it apart again, because inside here is an internal stop pin, and I thought that possibly that's why it was grinding in the track right there, because I've had another knife that did that. So I oiled it again in the track, and then I put it back together again. It doesn't really matter. It's still kind of grindy. It's annoying. I mean, it's a little bit better in action. The action isn't absolutely horrible, but that grind, like, you can feel it. You can hear it and you can feel it. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but I was talking to somebody on the phone and I was telling them about it, and they said they could hear it on the phone. So that was just my fail right there. So with the oil and everything that I did, the action's a slight bit better. And yeah, so, and it is lined up a little bit better. But here's another issue. As you can see, this grind, all right? It's not ground evenly on the tip. So on this left-hand side, it's ground right to there, and on the right-hand side, it's ground all the way up to there. So that's not cool. Now, if you look at this, and I have to say, this is a nice hollow grind. It's not bad. But then you get to this debacle right here on the end. This absolutely makes no sense. So they have a horizontal grind right here. I mean, a vertical grind. I'm sorry. There's a vertical hollow grind right here, right? And then you get to this tip, and they added a horizontal bevel. Why? What's the point in that? So talking to another friend, said, oh, they wanted to, make the tip stronger. So here's how that works, okay? By making this bevel, you had to remove material. So if you wanted to make the tip stronger, removing material is not how you do it, okay? You're actually making it weaker by taking the material out of that. So not really sure what that's all about, but it's probably the dumbest thing I've ever seen, to be honest with you. I'm not even kidding. And I've talked to people that I know that have been in the knife world and dealing with knives for years and years and years, and they were all like, what the F, dude? I'm like, seriously, I don't know. So this, it looks like Stevie Wonder was on the belt grinder that day, to be honest with you. It's absolutely crazy. And from what I understand, they're all like that. So that's an epic design failure. It's just terrible. Again, unevenly ground tip, and probably due to this, like, just stupid bevel that they put on the end of it. It makes no sense. Yeah, I can't even imagine. There's no, there's no way you can make something stronger by removing material. All right. So you have this decent grind going this way, right? Vertically. Then you have this going that way. Why? I mean, this is not a bushcraft knife. You're not going to be chucking it into fences and trees and stuff. There's no reason. I can't even understand why that would happen. But hey, whatever. It's just a design flaw. Poor design. Seriously. Another thing. This isn't really a drop point. I mean, this is kind of a straight back, like, drop point hybrid. This angle that they put on this belly right here, actually it makes it really kind of useless for cutting across things or for cutting packages or any utilitarian. This is a horrible shape for utility. It's fine for cutting stuff like pull cuts and everything, because that actually worked really well. But when I was testing this, so my friend sent me to this in one of those bubble wrap packages, right? It's made out of plastic, it's nothing. So I was testing this and I was cutting along the edge of it like this, like in a pull cut, right? And it was fine, it's cutting perfectly. But when I tried to cut it across like this, it was bouncing off of it. It wouldn't even dig in. And I tried it with cardboard, again, pull cuts, fine. Push cuts, fine. Going across the front, it kind of, 50% of the time it succeeded, 50% of the time it failed. So it's hit or miss, but it's definitely not a very reliable utilitarian blade shape, to be honest with you, because there's just, this belly is too much. So there's that. Yeah, I don't think it's really a good design, honestly. And I'm not saying that just because it's I don't like donut knives or because I have a problem with crispy donut community. I'm not really a fan of their marketing. To me, it feels like, and I understand everybody markets. I like James Brand, right? Nobody likes James Brand because of their marketing. Every company has to market. They pick a specific demographic and they put it out to those people, and I get that. But these guys seem to me like they're picking people that don't have any idea about knives. They're just, they're more worried about donut stuff and EDC. They're not really knife people, and they're just marketing this kind of a product to them that's not really all that great. And they mark the price up, and it's shady marketing in my opinion, honestly. And I'm not saying I know everything about knives. It's not true. I don't. But I do literally think a lot of people that get into this donut stuff aren't really about knives or about, like, donut pouches, donut gear. They like it, whatever. Everybody can like whatever they want. Just feels like they're just selling, I don't know, a bad design to people who don't really know it's a bad design, in my opinion. And that's not cool. But overall, like I said, I had to take it apart twice, put it back together. It's lined up now, better than it was. When my friend sent it to me, it wasn't really used all that much, so now it's lined up because I took it apart, put it back together, oiled it, everything. And like I said, it's got that grind in there still, so that's bad. The tolerances are off. It's got this stupid-ass secondary bevel going the opposite direction. It serves no purpose. It has this unevenly ground tip. I don't know. It's got this cheap plasticky feeling G10. And so my opinion of this knife, and that was seriously how, not my personal opinion. That's just what I feel compared to other knives. My opinion is that there are 1,000 Chinese knives that are made out of D2 and then are made out of G10. If you're gonna price it at $60, you need to come correct and not have all these issues. And in their defense, this could be just a bad knife. I mean, QSP makes from what I understand, QSP is their OEM. It could be just a bad one. I actually have another friend sending me another one of these because they say that knife that they have is better than this knife, and this could just be a bad one. So let's chalk it up to that. Let's just say this is a poorly made knife, other than the fact that this design flaw right here, you know what I mean? And the G10 is not going to change. It's still going to be crappy feeling, cheap. Just to say this is a bad one, okay? Because of the grinding, the bad tolerances, nothing, something's in there, it's not working right. Just say it's a bad one. Still, it's not worth the $60 that they're charging. Even if this was in mint condition, it would be at most a $30 knife. Seriously, this is not a $60 knife. G10, D2, 1,000 China knives. If you're gonna come with that kind of a price, you gotta come with something fancy. And to be honest with you, there's nothing fancy about this knife. This knife is not memorable. There's nothing, oh my God, about this knife. You get this knife and it's not really great. It's not really terrible. Like I said, Chinese knives are being made way better. So even with, if the fact that this knife was perfectly put together and everything worked great, it still wouldn't be a very memorable knife. It's just a mediocre Chinese G10 D2 knife, honestly. There's nothing you're gonna remember about it. It's not worth the $60. It's just not. just for, you know, not because it's a CDC donut knife or anything like that, just because of what it's made out of, how it's put together, it's not worth 60 bucks, period. So I have some comparisons to make with it, and to show, okay, what's going on. So this is made by QSP. They put it together, OEM'd it for them, right? $60. Here is another QSP knife. This is the QSP Penguin. When I got this, it first came out, it was $28, right? So we have D2, similar material. This has micarta, kind of better than G10 in a sense, but you know, whatever. It does have a reversible pocket clip. So does this. This is a flipper with ball bearings. But again, remember, this one's not in really all that great shape. It's grinded. This is, I believe, copper washers or phosphor bronze washers, right? This one's fantastic. This is a $30 knife. That's better than that knife. So that's that one, QSP Penguin. I would honestly tell you to get a Penguin over getting this thing. Seriously, if you want a knife that's going to be more utilitarian, look at the blade shape. It's a sheep's foot. Definitely more utilitarian. It's going to get into stuff really good. It's made out of D2. It's got really good edge retention, and it's got great hardness and all of that. My card is really good. It's going to change and become unique to you. You can change the clip over. These actually have the same clip, as you can see, because again, they're both QSP design. So yeah, so this is, don't get me wrong. I understand that they're making knives and they got to make money. So this is what their overhead is or whatever. But again, not worth 60 bucks. This is a $30 knife that's better than it. That's the QSP Penguin. Here is a PF 818, petrified fish, right? This is the 818. G10, D2. G10, D2. This is flipper design with ball bearings, flipper design with ball bearings. It has a clip on the back, deep carry. Let's see what we got going on. See this, when I bought this, no problems, bro. No problem. And not to mention that there is no problem with the tip. As you can see, there's no secondary bevel on the tip because it's useless. It makes no sense. And the tip is ground evenly. As with this one, no secondary bevel, tip is ground evenly. How much was this knife? $27. I would dare to say that this knife is better than that knife as well. It's put together better, and it's a greater value. And again, D2, G10, D2, G10, same materials, half the price. Another knife, about 30 bucks. CJRB Feldspar Mini, D2, G10. Does have ball bearings. It is not a flipper, thumb stud, but there is no issue, no grinding, no nothing, and there is no secondary bevel or uneven grind on the tip. So you're getting the point here, okay? So all these knives are half the price of this knife, and they're put together better, or they're put together with the same exact material. At least equally good, okay? I'd say that the Penguin is better than that, but these two knives are at least equally good as that knife if this knife had no issues, right? So let's get into something that's a similar material. This is a petrified fish knife. This is I believe, the 949 Warrior. It's in K110. K110 is similar to D2. So this costs 60 bucks as compared to this $60 knife, right? So this knife came correct, okay? They got flax micarta here, black flax micarta, titanium pocket clip. When it came, you got a cleaning cloth and you got a dog tag and a necklace with it that's made out of titanium. It has a crown spine. There's a lot of stuff going on with this knife, and look at that, fantastic. This knife costs $60. So do you see what I'm saying in the difference? If they're going to charge $60 for this knife, it's got to be something other than D2 and G10, because there's 1,000 of these. They're just out there. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing that's going to wow you. It's just another Chinese D2 G10 knife. So that is the PF knife. Now, another $60 knife. A little bit different material. This is the Real Steel Terra. Okay, we have G10 14C28N. It's got a wire pocket clip. That's pretty cool. It's got flathead screw so you can take it apart. That's cool. Liner lock. It's got a crown spine as well. Thumb stud or thumb hole opening. This is a really good knife, actually. I'd say that's definitely worth 60 bucks. Put together super well. Closes better than that knife, and this is on washers as well. So, you know what I mean? Here's another one that's at the same price level. That's just better. I mean, seriously. And last but not least, one that I honestly think works better than that one, it is a QSP Parrot, also made by QSP. QSP Parrot's $20 when I bought it. It's made out of 440C. It's one of the original ones. It's on washers. Closes better, better action. Just That's unbelievable. Like, you know, I said, this is a $20 knife that's just as good as that knife right there. So those are just some comparisons to let you know that there are all kinds of other options. D2 G10 knives are a dime a dozen, and they're not $60. The ones that are put together super solid are not $60. They're like 30. Okay, these two are $30. This one too, actually. This one's another $30 one. So you have $30 knives that are made out of the same materials as this knife. Why is this knife being charged? Why are you charging people $60 for this knife? I'm not understanding it. And let's just say that this knife has all these, you know, issues with it, other than that secondary bevel, because QSP messed it up. Okay, I get that. But even if it was in mint condition, perfect, and everything worked, these knives are still the same material. This knife is better than this knife. These two knives are better than this knife. I'd even say that this knife might even be better than it. Seriously, and it's in 440C. I mean, as far as action goes, and no issues it is, but we can't say that. But let's just say I get the other one and I carry it for a week and we'll see what happens. We'll do that, okay? But no matter how much this knife is being sold for, again, it's about a $30 knife. That's about what it's worth. I wouldn't pay $60 for it. I don't absolutely detest it. I think it's a bad design. I think that this bevel is just stupid. I think that there's too much belly on it that makes it useless as a utility knife. I use it for food. It works fine for cutting things, you know, pull cuts. It's great. If you're going to use it for just food prep, then hey, you know what? It's fantastic. But you can use any one of these knives for food prep at half the price of this one. So, yeah, there's that. Or this one at a third of the price, and it'll work too. And my main food prep knife when I'm gone is actually this one. And, yeah, I would use this one. Look at the blade. The blade is a much wider blade from spine to edge, and it also has a full flat grind. So, this is a better food prep knife overall, period. So, my, I don't know. The good, let's do the good and the bad, okay? You already know all the bad, absolutely. The good thing is it does have a reversible deep carry pocket clip. It does have an internal stop pin, that's cool. Hollow grind is decent. You know, I don't know. That's about all I got. I like the size of it, actually, because I'm like around a 7-inch knife. I like carrying those size knives, so that's good. The size is good. But, you know, like I said, I don't hate it and I don't love it. It's, to me, just unmemorable. It's just, you know, just another G10 D2 Chinese knife. Honestly, there's nothing fantastic about it. There's nothing 100% horrible about it either. So I kind of just have meh. That's my opinion. Meh. It's just another budget beater. Seriously, really, in my opinion. I will be getting another one in, and you know, maybe the action will be better, and maybe it won't be grinding, but it's still going to have this stupidity. And oh, it does have this. It has this too, this lanyard thing, so that's cool if you need to put a lanyard in it. But overall, I just feel that it's overpriced. It's not worth $60. There's a lot of issues with it. It's a bad design. But, I mean, you can use it. You know what I mean? And as far as I know, you can sharpen it. Now, I used it for a while, and it took a flat spot, so it burred out. So I don't know, you know, what that's got. I didn't use it ridiculously. I mean, I didn't use this on stuff I wouldn't normally use it on. I'm not out here slapping on trees with it. I used it for food. I used it for cutting open packages, or attempting to. I used it for cutting open, like, you know, food packages and stuff like that. Cardboard. Nothing ridiculous, and it still took a burr on it. And that's weird, because this is supposedly D2. So somebody should, honestly, not that QSP or Crispy Donut Community would make up what the steel is, but they should honestly try and test that steel with a steel testing machine to see if it really is D2, because that seems weird to me. I've never had D2 do that. I've had VG10 do that, and it just, you know, stoned it right out. But D2, nah, it's never done it for that kind of, you know, stuff, unless it has a really low HRC. But, yep, that's my opinion of it. It's just, you know, whatever. It's meh. It's unmemorable. It's not horrible. It's not great. Definitely not great. And it's not worth the money. You guys have a good one.